Okay, hey, just off President Biden's speech this afternoon about COVID restrictions in the United States and his orders for mandatory vaccinations amongst federal workers and his OSHA rule through the Department of Labor to have every employee in a company that has over 100 employees vaccinated. So that's a wow, giant can of worms. What happens when somebody doesn't get vaccinated? Are they going to get fired? And also, he's doing this for federal employees. What happens with that? But the bigger picture is Biden is now setting up our country, and he's trying to benefit from it by creating two camps, the vaccinated and the unvaccinated. These are naturally categories, of course. And the problem is, instead of trying to encourage vaccinated people to get vaccinated, he's actually affirming people's anger towards the unvaccinated. People who might be unvaccinated might have reasons for that. By the way, to the best of my knowledge, the highest percentage of unvaccinated people are people of color, not white Republicans. I mean, that seems to be the conventional wisdom. And to the best of my knowledge, that's incorrect. Um, so he's setting up this basically two-tiered America where vaccinated individuals are going to be pitted against unvaccinated individuals. I got some notes here. Really kind of disgusting little speech, if I may say so. And a couple of just things that riffed off of this that I just thought were just disturbing in a way. First off, affirming the anger and making this about anger between, as I said earlier, what do they call it? Validating the anger of unvaccinated people against of vaccinated people against unvaccinated. I thought that was unpresidential of Biden to validate such anger. He also said a couple of key lines, quotes I just jotted down, that he wants to protect the vaccinated workers from unvaccinated workers. That's a direct quote. I thought to myself, what if you're vaccinated? What does it matter if somebody else isn't vaccinated? Doesn't the vaccination work? I mean, why do you need protection? Doesn't the vaccination protect you? Why would you need further protection? Who cares if Sally 5 cubes down from you gets sick? I mean, that's bad for Sally, of course, but is she going to threaten your life if you're vaccinated? Well, I mean, the definition of a vaccine would mean that she couldn't because you're vaccinated, right? A strange little thing here in Massachusetts. I keep an eye on this particular statistic here in beautiful Massachusetts behind enemy lines. I did this today. 28% of all hospitalizations in Massachusetts right now. We're at 622 hospitalizations as of September 9th, 2021. 178 of those are people that have been fully vaccinated. I think that comes in at 28%. So a third, or slightly less than a third, of the people in the hospital with COVID in Massachusetts are fully vaccinated. No word about how many of those are actually in the hospitalization because they got vaccinated. There's no number on that, of course, and that's unspeakable. I'm sure I'll get banned from YouTube for even suggesting that you might end up in the hospital as a result of your vaccination. I'm so sorry, Google, please forgive me for even suggesting such a thing. Biden also said that his patience is wearing thin. Just checking my notes here, doing this live, basically no prep, just coming off the press conference. His patience is wearing thin. So I spent some time today looking at what's going on in Australia. It's very scary in Australia. They basically have concentration camps for those who are unvaccinated. If you're subject to a 14-day quarantine, they plaster a poster on your front door warning people and that these are for like delivery people and whatever, that you're supposed to be quarantined. This is also supposed to add in a way so your fellow Australian can turn you out, can turn you in to authorities if heaven forbid you stroll out to the mailbox or something like that, something radical like that. Remember that guy who got into the elevator all by himself and they tracked him down? I'm pretty sure they found him. A couple of the Australian authorities recently been in New South Wales have come up with the phrase "the New World Order." This is what it's gonna be like in the New World Order, and you're gonna accept it. Yeah, so that's incredibly scary what's going on, and it almost seems as if Biden is saying, "Hey, my patience is wearing thin." And he's validating the anger, and this is going to lay the groundwork for the Australian model effectively, and that's incredibly scary, incredibly scary. He also said that the virus transcends borders. Now, that's true. Amazingly ironic, and given the fact that we basically have an open border. We have no border on the southern part of the country, and you can get to America if you want to fly to Mexico City and then walk your way up there. You can arrive here in the United States from Africa, from China, from wherever. If you don't have a visa or a green card or any of those other good things, you can just arrive in Mexico and fly and walk yourself up here. We have no border. Even though the virus transcends borders, irony of irony for Biden to say that, we have no border. We also just imported, I don't know how many 100,000 or so Afghans that may or may not have been vetted here into the United States, and they can also, just leave the military base or wherever they happen to be. They don't really know how many Afghans they have or what their health status may or may not be. And apparently, from what I've heard, if they don't want to stay in their provided accommodations here in the United States, they can just call, as I heard this morning, call Uber, and Uber can take them someplace else in the country. Wasn't that special? One other thing that the president mentioned and was very disturbing relative to what is most certainly going to be continued issue this year, and that's masks in schools. And he said that, if I have the quote right, it doesn't matter how low the risk is for your child. In other words, laying the groundwork for the teachers' associations or unions to perpetuate the mask order. So here in Massachusetts, theoretically, your schools are supposed to be able to get out of the mask order if they have 80% vaccination rate by October 1st. Clearly, Biden is moving, at least on a national basis, to have the mask order in public schools continue forever, for the rest of the school year. And, to live in a world with there is not a world without risk. For you, for me, for your children, it doesn't exist. My kid drives now. He has a car, he drives around town, drives himself to school, to basketball, all those good things. He drives his sister. There's risk involved with that, right? If I didn't want to expose my child to risk, I wouldn't have, got married and became a parent. I wouldn't have had children. Risk exists everywhere. I might slip and fall on my way out the door this afternoon. I might get hit by a car. Risk is everything. If you don't want to have car accidents, we can all drive 5 or 10 miles an hour, I guess. But risk is everywhere, even with your kids. And part of being a parent is exposing your children to more and more risk, right? And hopefully they understand the freedom. With freedom comes risk. With freedom comes danger. With freedom comes opportunity. And they are able to strike a balance like most of us adults in American society. And that's how they grow up. Managing risk. We all do that. Of course, I don't want any risk for my kids, but that's foolhardy. That's Pollyanna. I don't usually use that phrase, but that's like a Pollyanna thought. There's always risk for every person whether it's your kid or somebody else's kid or no matter what age you are. So just riffing off President Biden's speech today, and incredibly disappointed in this groundwork that he seems to be laying, pitting these two parties against each other, and seems to be, looking at, as his patience wears thin, even more draconian types of actions, like what we're seeing in Australia. So, hey, I'm Jack Gately. This is the John F. Gately YouTube channel. You can call me Jack if you want. From behind enemy lines in beautiful Plymouth, Massachusetts, I'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.